Small towns are popular for their community ties. Basically, everyone knows everyone. Chincoteague is an island on Virginia's eastern shore. The town has a population of 3,000. It is a great destination place for families over the summer with its marvelous beaches and great seafood. The island is also popular for a large number of wild ponies in the area. It goes without saying that when a young mother turns up murdered, the whole island is sacred. Hello, welcome to the video. Today, I unveil the homicide that left an island shaken and how long it took for the family to get justice. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Tessa Van Hart worked as a delivery person at a pizza restaurant. She was mainly carrying out errands while her husband, Walter Van Hart, worked in the kitchen. The two had been married for a while and had 2 little kids. That day, Tessa took her order and bade Walter goodbye, saying she would be back soon. A few hours went by and Walter started getting worried. After all, Tessa should have come back a long time ago. Walter calls the police department and reports Tessa missing. He also calls his mother, wondering if Tessa had stopped by her house. Walter's mother has not seen Tessa, but she gets into her car and drives around, hoping to locate her. Since it is drizzling, Walter's mother assumes that Tessa's car had skidded off the road and was in a marsh somewhere. As the hours tickle by, Walter gets more worried. This is an island, so someone must have seen something. The local officers start looking for Tessa in places she might be. The officers soon locate Tessa's car in an abandoned area. They find that the driver's seat is empty. They continue looking, and in the backseat is where the horror of all horrors awaits them. Danny Plott is an agent working in the violent crimes unit. He is at home when he gets a call about a violent crime that has occurred on the island. Plott quickly travels to the island. Tessa Van Hart has been murdered and stashed in her car. She sustained 2 bullet wounds. Her belongings are intact, showing that this was not a burglary. She has remnants of grass and mud stains on her knees. This means that there is another crime scene somewhere on the island. The body is taken for proper examination while Plott and a few officers officially start their investigation. The first person they interview is the husband, since most homicides are committed by domestic partners. Plott quickly discovers that Walter had nothing to do with Tessa's murder. Instead, he is devastated and cannot believe that his dear soulmate is done for. After ruling that out, the next stop is at the pizza delivery restaurant. The detective gets Tessa's delivery route and the address where she was supposed to deliver the pizza at. The address turns out to be an abandoned house. The house is a vacation or rental house, and it is completely dark, meaning that no one could have asked for pizza in the house. Plott sees a neighboring house and reasons that maybe he had ordered the pizza. Plott and his officers walk toward the house. The lights are on, so someone is inside. Plott suddenly signals for the officers to stop. He has spotted some blood in the backyard, so this must be the primary crime scene. The officers knock on the man's door. They ask him if he had ordered pizza, but the man denies it. The officers want to bring him in for questioning. The man is irritated, but he mentions that he is willing to do a polygraph on condition that the officers let him be if he passes. The man also allows the officers to search his backyard for clues. Due to the rain, Plott knows that any evidence of a crime has already been washed away. Anything they find at the scene is invaluable, so Plott decides on a Hail Mary. He brings in a police canine. The dog quickly sniffs the area and locates the shell casing of a .22 caliber bullet. Now, Plott has a vision of what might have happened. Tessa had been tricked into delivering at an abandoned house, and then her assailant had attacked, assaulted, and killed her before stashing her in the woods. The man takes the polygraph and passes. He explains that the owners of the vacation home only come during the summer and the house has been empty for a while now. Tessa's autopsy results come in, and they confirm that she had been sexually assaulted. She also has bruises on her face and chest, showing that her assailant had beaten her as well. The nature of the murder and assault shows that her assailant had the intention of killing her, showing premeditation. Plott's next play is to interview the other delivery girls at the restaurant. He asks the girl who had picked up the assailant's call if there were definitive things she noticed. The girl is devastated, and she mentions that the caller had sounded as normal as all other callers. Plott then asks the delivery girls whether there are any creepy customers who have given them an off vibe. One girl points out to a creepy Coast Guard dude, Matthew. Plott goes to interview Matthew. He asks him what happens when he orders pizza and if he asks the delivery girls to come in. Matthew confirms that he does so, but only because he wants to share the pizza with the girls. Matthew is a little nervous and refuses to make eye contact with Plott. However, he has an alibi for the day of Tessa's murder. He was off the island visiting a few friends, and he has some receipts to confirm this. Plott calls in help from various specialists, including some from the forensics department. He establishes a command center on the island and continues scouring for clues. The forensics team searches and examines Tessa's car, but nothing turns up. No new leads pop up, and the case starts drying up. The townspeople are scared since a murderer lives among them and the police officers have no answers. Walter wants to know who took Tessa's life. Tessa was a beautiful woman who was loved by many people. Her death was totally unfair as she was just 23 years old. Walter is trying to bridge the gap that his wife left with his kids, but until justice is served, there is no peace forthcoming. He is utterly devastated when Tessa's case is deemed inactive and Plot and his team move on. 2 years after Tessa's murder, Plot is now working with the Fugitives Unit. He gets a call from a friend of his, who claims that he might have answers for Tessa's murderer. Plot is excited since this is a case that he has wanted to close for so long. Plot is told that an inmate called Brian Lee Cherrix has information about the murder. Brian says that he will provide details about the murder in exchange for leniency on his own sentence. Brian says that his cousin had killed Tessa and then discarded the rifle in a nearby creek. Brian gives Plot the location of the creek. Plot is a little apprehensive until Brian mentions that Tessa was killed with a .22 caliber rifle. He also says that his cousin had lured Tessa through pizza delivery, sodomized her, and then killed her. Plot has a team of divers search the creek for the rifle, but nothing turns up. Plot is now certain that Brian is just messing around with them. Brian offers to take the detective to the exact spot the rifle is at. The dive team jumps into the new location, and lo and behold, they get the rifle. Plot starts doubting Brian and wonders if Brian had been there when the crime was committed. Unfortunately, Plot cannot question Brian's cousin, as he had died in a car wreck 2 years ago. The murder weapon is taken in for ballistics. Since it has been in the water for quite a while, it is impossible to extract any fingerprints. The serial number is also erased, so the cops have no way of finding out who owned it. Fortunately, the gun matches the bullet casings found on Tessa's body and in the backyard. Plot is still not convinced, so he decides to do some investigation on Brian's cousin. He learns that Brian comes from a well-respected and affluent family. He also learns that he is separated from his wife. Plot speaks to Brian's ex about Brian's cousin. The ex denies that Brian's cousin could be involved in such a gruesome murder, and that he was out of the island on the day that Tessa died. She also mentions that Brian was a little amorous, and he owned a rifle. The ex is shown the rifle that was retrieved from the creek, and she confirms it to be Brian's rifle. Plot goes back to Brian to get a statement. Brian insists that his cousin had committed the crime. While giving details about the gun, he lets it slip that he is the one who had thrown it there. In the course of the interview, Brian keeps on changing his story from his cousin to him. Finally, he spills the beans. Brian had always been infatuated with the beautiful Tessa. He would ask for pizza and ensure that the woman would be the one delivering it. He would give her large tips of $20. Tessa remained friendly and never showed any interest in Brian. His infatuation became an obsession, and he decided that he would have her no matter what. Brian orders a pizza on the night of Tessa's murder, knowing that only she delivers late at night. Tessa gets to the vacation home and realizes that she is at the wrong address. She walks toward the neighboring house, and this is when he confronts her. He tries making a pass at her, but Tessa tries to run away. Brian hits her, sodomizes her, and then kills her. He shoots at her once, and when he sees that she is still moving, he delivers the kill shot. All this time, Tessa is begging for her life, but Brian is already determined to end her life. Brian then carried the body into Tessa's car and dumped it in the location the officers had found it. The judge finds Brian to be a cold and emotionless murderer. He is sentenced to death. Brian was executed by lethal injection in 2004. Finally, justice was served to the Van Harts, and this case closed. Our thoughts and prayers go to those who suffered under the hands of this particular man. If you want to watch more true crime documentaries, then click any video of them. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for great content and enjoy more. See you soon.